Hello, my name is Mark Milne. I'm the Director of Finance for the Town of Barnstable. And today, I'd like to provide you an overview of the fiscal year 2024 proposed operating budgets for the town's general fund and enterprise fund operations. The general fund operating budget for fiscal year 2024 is $196,472,000. That's an increase of $11,756,000, or 6.4% over our current year operating budget. The general fund cost drivers include salaries and employee benefits for $6,445,000, 38 new positions totaling $2,322,000, capital program funding increase of just over $3 million, some costs shifted from ARPA grant funding that are being added to the general fund operating budget for $580,000, and all other cost changes totaling a reduction of $643,000 results in a total net increase of $11,756,000 to the proposed operating budget. The new positions proposed in this budget include a diversity, equity, and inclusion director, a new assistant town attorney, a new assistant safety officer, 10 English language learner teachers in our school department, 7 teaching assistants, 4.5 family and community liaisons in our school department, 3 special education teachers, 3 assistant principals, 2 social and emotional learning positions, 2 school maintenance positions, and 1.8 science and tech teachers, and 1 each for a social worker, a world language teacher, and an inventory clerk. The Student Opportunity Act resulted in foundation budget increases for several categories, including economically disadvantaged students, guidance and psychological services, health insurance and fixed costs, students with disabilities, and English learners. As you can see on this chart on the right-hand side of this slide, we have seen increases in all these categories of student populations. The new positions in the school department are designed to help us meet the delivery of educational services for these particular groups of students to make sure that we stay in compliance with state regulations. For the capital program funding, we currently commit $12 million in the 2 categories, debt service and a transfer to our capital trust fund. Every year we increase that by a base amount of 2.5%, plus we're adding new growth allocation from new property taxes of $750,000, and then we're making an additional annual investment of $2 million a year, which will bring our capital funding up to that $15.1 million level in fiscal year 2024. The other category of cost increases are the costs that are shifted from the ARPA grant. We currently have 6 positions full-time that we're paying for out of the ARPA grant. 1 is a full-time microcomputer specialist in our information technology division, a grant coordinator in our planning and development department, 4 police officers, and we also have software licensing and managed IT service contract that we're going to move from the grant into our operating budget to maintain these coverage for these costs going forward in future years. We've identified over $2 million in cost reductions in the 2024 budget. These include $339,000 from various school assessments that will be going down. No provision for a snow and ice deficit is made in fiscal year 24 due to the mild weather that we had. Current year budget has a $934,000 provision. We won't have to fund any snow and ice deficit in fiscal year 24. Our veterans benefits budget is going down $30,000 as we are providing services to fewer veterans. We have a part-time legal assistant position that is being eliminated, a full-time admin assistant position in the town manager's office that is being eliminated, and a part-time administrative assistant to the town council's office that is being eliminated. We've also incorporated into this budget for the first time an anticipated vacancy savings across all departments. We have dozens of positions that are currently vacant, and we do not think they will all be filled by July 1st, so we are taking some of that savings and factoring that into the operating budget. We've identified fuel and telecommunications cost reductions in our Barnstable Police Department of $70,000. We have eliminated part-time library and instructional assistants in the school department for a $32,000 savings. We have out-of-district tuition costs that are being reduced in the school department, as well as a transportation contract lease. And then we had one-time other charges in the Barnstable Public Schools of $98,000 that will not be repeated. So that's a total cost of $2 million in reductions identified for the proposed budget in 2024. To pay for this $11 million increase, the general fund revenue sources are increasing across all categories, including property taxes of $5,372,000. Our state aid is increasing $5,435,000. Other local receipts of $2,151,000. And then we're using $1.2 million less in reserves. That all nets out to $11,756,000 of revenue increase for the 2024 budget. Here's our projected property tax levy for fiscal year 2024. We plan on increasing it by the allowable amount under Proposition 2.5, which is $3,465,000. And then we have new growth estimate of $750,000 plus a couple of voter-approved exclusions, one for the Cape Cod Commission and the other for the debt exclusion on the Cape Cod Regional Technical High School. That results in a total projected tax levy of $145.2 million, and compared to the 2023 tax levy, that's a $4,535,000 increase, or about 3.2%. Additionally, we're reducing the amount we set aside for abatements and exemptions by $837,000, redirecting those funds to the operating budget. So that results in a total of $5,372,000 of new property taxes being directed toward general fund operations. This is what the projected tax rate looks like in tax bill change for fiscal year 24. Even though the tax levy is going up, we project the tax rate to go down as we continue to see valuation increases. We anticipate that we're going to continue to see valuation increases, specifically in residential properties. Assessments for fiscal year 2024 will be based on calendar year 2022 residential property sales. And in that year, there was still a very strong residential property market in the town of Barnstable, as well as across the state of Massachusetts and most of the country. The result of that will likely be a reduction in our tax rate for the residential property class from $7.07 to $6.61, and for the CIP class of property, $6.43 to $6.07. As far as the tax bill impact, it's about $78 a year, or $12, a little more than $12 a month for the residential median property tax bill. And that's a residential property qualifying for the residential exemption. The CIP tax bill will probably go slightly down a little bit as a result of those valuations not changing as significantly as the residential properties. Our state aid increases of almost $6 million is all attributable to Chapter 70 aid. This reflects the continued implementation of the Student Opportunity Act. Fiscal year 2024 is the third year of a 6-year plan to increase funding for education in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. As a result of the implementation of this act, our foundation budget is increasing $9 million a year, or for next year. Our local required contribution to cover that increase is only $3 million, and Chapter 70 fills the gap of $6 million. This chart illustrates our local receipt growth for fiscal year 23 and 24, and what the estimates are for 23 and 24. As you can see by the blue, illustrated by the blue and red bars here, our actual receipts in 2022 and projected receipts in 2023 for every category exceed what we are projecting to use for fiscal year 2024, as well as what we used in 2023 to establish our budget. This continues to illustrate our conservative revenue estimation for general fund local receipts, and that allows us more budget flexibility when we continue to budget this way. Our general fund operations summaries, this is a table of our general fund operations summary for all departments in the general fund. Total budget is $129 million, or $7.7 million over the fiscal year 23 budgets. Most of that increase is in the school department, almost a $6 million increase, or 7.8%. And again, that's a result of mostly the new positions that are being added to the school department's budget in order for us to continue to achieve the goals of the Student Opportunity Act. We have two departments who actually will see a reduction in their proposed operating budgets, and that includes Community Services and the Town Council's budget. For our general fund fixed cost, they total $67.3 million in fiscal year 24. Most of this is in the employee benefits category and the capital program. Again, a $3 million increased investment in our capital program. And employee benefits are increasing almost $2 million. Our school assessments are going down $338,000, and again, we do not have to provide any budget for a snow and ice deficit in fiscal year 24, as we had a very mild winter. Here's a table illustrating our enterprise fund budgets for next fiscal year. As you can see, 4 of them are decreasing and the other 5 are increasing. Overall, our general fund budget, or enterprise fund budgets, are slightly down by almost $1 million, or 2.3%. Our airport enterprise fund reduction is due to an estimated reduction in the estimated volume of jet fuel sales and the price of acquiring that jet fuel, and that's what's driving that budget down. For the golf course, we have a new golf cart lease, we have increases in materials and supplies, and we're restoring operating capital in the budget, which drives its increase. For the Highness Youth and Community Center, we have contractual pay increases for staff and a new loan for the mechanical improvements at the facility, causing a budget increase. In the Marina Enterprise Fund, the Prince Cove acquisition debt expired in 2023, resulting in a budget decrease for this operation. And in the PEG, reductions in operating expenses and capital outlay result in a budget decrease for our public, educational, and governmental access channels. Sandy Neck, we have contractual pay increases and additional funds for maintenance and permits. In the Solid Waste Enterprise Fund, the increase is a result of an increase in disposal costs. For our water pollution control budget, we have a decrease, and that's a result in debt service. And in our Water Supply Enterprise Fund, we have contract operations and a new debt service, which is driving the increase in that budget. One other significant change that you'll see in the proposed budget is this budget for the Water Pollution Control Enterprise Fund includes not only the budget for operating the facilities that we have, but also the implementation of the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan. As this chart illustrates, the total budget is about $8 million. About $5 million of that is made up of the costs associated with running the water pollution control facilities, and about $3 million of that cost is associated with the implementation of the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan. These two budgets have been combined within the Sewer Enterprise Fund in fiscal year 2024 because the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan is essentially a large capital program for our Water Pollution Control Enterprise Fund. And that concludes my presentation on the 2024 operating budget. The public hearings begin on June 1st, and we hope to see you there. Thank you.